This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. Over 1.5 million people rallied in Hong Kong this weekend in favor of the pro-democracy movement, despite pressure from China and local police. It came less than a week after student-led protesters shut down the Hong Kong airport. So what's next? CBN News Chief International Correspondent Gary Lane joins us now with more. Gary?
Heather, CBN News talked with one of the student protest leaders earlier today. Isaac Cheng says the pro-democracy movement's tactics are constantly shifting.
I think there is no single assembly or protest will get the government listen, but we just keeping on the movement until the government really responds to us, and we are keep on upgrading our levels of protest.
Cheng says Hong Kongers know their future and society are tightly related. Their top demand of Beijing? Universal suffrage. They want to choose Hong Kong's chief executive instead of the Chinese government selecting a slate of pro-Beijing candidates. And what about the Chinese government moving army troops and military equipment close to Hong Kong? Cheng says it's just a scare tactic.
Actually, there may be some chance the Chinese troop may really come to Hong Kong, but at this stage, they are only wants to fear Hong Kong people not to come on street.
Late last week, President Trump suggested President Xi meet with the pro-democracy protesters to resolve their differences.
I would be willing to bet that if he sat down with the protesters, a group of representative protesters, I'll bet he'd work it out in 15 minutes. I bet he'd work it out very quickly. I know it's not the kind of thing he does, but I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
President Xi won't be meeting with the protester in Joshua Wong actually, and because they already giving up the whole movement, they are not wanted to meet with the protesters.
Heather, Cheng also said transportation disruptions and strikes will continue, but he suggested students may begin protests on campus. They may even launch a boycott of college classes.
Yeah, Gary, it's so interesting. This has been going on for months. What is Cheng saying? What is he hoping for from the American public, particularly our viewers?
Well, he says he'd like them to do more than pray for Hong Kong. He suggests they may put their faith in action by demanding that our government put pressure on American companies to stop supplying riot gear and weapons to the Hong Kong police. Also, he wants our viewers and members of the international community to take their commitment to human rights seriously by demanding their governments respond by putting pressure on China to address the concerns of Hong Kongers in a positive way.
Thanks, Gary. And there is good news today for a Chinese Christian leader. China has returned an elder of the Early Rain Covenant Church to his family after he served 8 months in prison. Li K-un is back at home in China's Hubei province. He was among 100 church members and leaders arrested in coordinated raids last December. Although he's now reunited with his family, he's out on bail and he must report regularly to local police. Other members of the Early Rain Covenant Church remain imprisoned, including Pastor Yi. The unregistered Calvinist church started in 2006. It now claims more than 500 members. Before his arrest last December, Pastor Yi wrote a declaration of disobedience, saying the goal of disobedience is not to change the world, but to testify about another world. Well, Afghanistan's president is vowing to crush Islamic State fighters in his country after 63 people died in an attack on a wedding this weekend. The terrorist group claimed responsibility for the bombing, which also injured 180 people. Thousands of Islamic State fighters fled to Afghanistan after U.S.-led coalition forces drove them from Syria. There are now fears, though, that the Islamic State will find safe haven in Afghanistan if the U.S. leaves. The Trump administration is negotiating a U.S. exit from the 18-year-long war. The president said Sunday that the U.S. has already started pulling troops out of the country.
We've really got it down to probably 13,000 people, and we'll be bringing it down a little bit more, and then we'll decide whether or not we'll be staying longer or not.
The U.S. is negotiating with the Afghan government and the Taliban for conditions for its withdrawal. Well, the U.S. government is also working to help solve the crisis in Venezuela. A senior administration official told the Associated Press that the United States has made secret contact with Venezuela's Socialist Party boss. They reportedly discussed guarantees for President Nicolas Maduro's inner circle. That group wants assurances that they won't face prosecution for alleged crimes if they surrender to demands to remove Maduro. Another meeting may be in the works. An Iranian tanker loaded with millions of dollars worth of oil is now bound for an unknown destination. The UK had detained the vessel for a month for allegedly attempting to breach European Union sanctions on Syria. The U.S. suspects it to be tied to a sanctioned organization. But Gibraltar authorities rejected the U.S. attempt to re-seize the oil tanker on Sunday. Iran's foreign minister has warned the U.S. that if it attempts to seize the tanker again in international waters, it will face, quote, severe consequences. We'll have more on what's happening in Washington on Faith Nation this evening. You can watch it here on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, the latest win for the pro-life community, how Planned Parenthood could be losing millions of dollars. And before we go to break, a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man coming.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
A U.S. appeals court has rejected a lawsuit by Planned Parenthood aimed at blocking the Trump administration's new family planning program rules. The abortion giant has been in the Title X program for decades and receives almost $60 million in funding each year. But new rules this year prohibit clinics that receive federal funds from referring patients for abortions. Planned Parenthood said last week it would withdraw from the program by the end of the day today if the court allowed the new policy to take effect. It is expected to announce its final decision soon. Pro-life groups are commending President Trump for keeping his campaign promise to defend Planned Parenthood. And joining us now with more on the topic is constitutional law attorney Jenna Ellis. Jenna, thanks for joining us. What is your take on this particular or possible victory for the pro-life community?
Thank you so much, Heather. And, this is a really significant victory on the legal front as well as the PR front. And so from a legal perspective, Title X is a family planning program where the government subsidizes clinics to provide comprehensive family planning healthcare services. And so for the courts to acknowledge, particularly the Ninth Circuit, that abortion services and abortion referrals are not part of family planning healthcare is a significant win, because we know that abortions are medical interventions specifically designed to cause the death of a child. That's not part of healthcare services. And also from a PR perspective, this is a very significant victory for pro-life, because this shows that with Planned Parenthood withdrawing and refusing to receive over $60 million from Title X funding, it shows that their narrative claiming that they mainly provide healthcare related services is just simply false. And so HHS, through their spokesperson, actually put it very well. She said, and I'm quoting, "To the extent that Planned Parenthood claims that it must make burdensome changes to comply with the final rule, it is actually choosing to place a higher priority on the ability to refer for abortion instead of continuing to receive federal funds to provide a broad range of acceptable and effective family planning methods."
Oh, really interesting. I want to ask you, Planned Parenthood says it is hoping that the full Ninth Circuit will stop the implementation of the HHS rules. Do you see that happening?
I don't. I think that this is going to be a win for President Trump. I think, the Ninth Circuit, of course, has definitely been overturned the most in the past. They're the most liberal court. But President Trump is actually changing that and has put a number of conservative justices who read the Constitution, who read the law, who understand that this is, no matter where you stand on the pro-life issue, this was the right legal outcome.
How important do you see this particular political fight for Planned Parenthood, Jenna?
I think that especially going into the 2020 election, Christians can be very encouraged that President Trump is keeping his promises to defund Planned Parenthood. They're going to have to come up with a different narrative. They can't continue to lie to the public to say that they provide abortion services when really their main aim is to provide abortions. And so I think that Christians need to continue to pray. We need to continue to vote to elect officials from all the way from the president down to the state and local level that will make sure to defend and protect life, because that's what our Constitution is actually obligated to do. So we need to definitely be praying. We need to be standing up strong and firm. And I think that this is a really significant turning point in America's history, that we can be the generation that gets rid of abortion once and for all and continues to protect the weakest among us.
All right. And I just want to ask you, how significant is $60 million for Planned Parenthood?
Overall, they do receive a lot more donations than that. I think that it's more the legal victory, not so much the monetary sum that's more significant for them, because they're being outed as just an abortion provider rather than healthcare services comprehensively.
Really interesting. Well, we've got another legal ruling in this case to watch. Jenna Ellis, thanks for your time right now.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Up next, Christians in Nigeria are remaining steadfast in their faith despite desperate conditions. We'll have their story next.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're going to bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Millions of Nigerian Christians have been forced to flee their homes by the ISIS-inspired terrorist group Boko Haram, but they are not giving up the faith or their dreams for the future. CBN contributor Chuck Holton visited a refugee camp near Abuja to find Christians who are holding on to hope and prayer despite their desperate conditions.
It's Sunday morning in Nigeria, and Christians across the country are heading to church. As part of the continent's largest Christian community, most believers here have their choice of places to worship. Here at the Family Worship Center, pastored by a graduate of Regent University, thousands lift their hands in praise. But just a few miles away on this Sunday, these people try to find enough food to survive another day. I'm just outside of Abuja in the capital of Nigeria, and this is a refugee camp with about 1,500 people in it that have been internally displaced from their villages further north and to the west. There are about 2.5 million internally displaced people within Nigeria, and that makes this one of the largest humanitarian crises in the world right now. And the thing that all of these people have in common is that they're Christians. 29-year-old Aisha grew up in northern Kenya with her family, scratching out a meager living along with the rest of those in her small village. She's a Christian from one of the largest ethnic groups in West Africa. Life was hard for this young mother, and it was about to get a whole lot harder.
In November 2013, Boko Haram invaded our village. They killed my father-in-law and abducted some of the children who lived with us. We were so scared, so we fled to the mountains.
As a movement, Boko Haram has been around for a very long time, starting back in 2002, long before ISIS even became a thing. And as time went on, they got more and more extreme to the point where in 2011, they detonated a car bomb at this building behind me. That's the UN embassy here in Abuja. They've continued to kill people across the country of Nigeria, thousands in fact, to the point where in 2015, they were dubbed the most dangerous terror group on the planet. Much of that terror directed at Christians. Enoch Yohana was one of Aisha's neighbors.
They started with burning of the churches, killing the pastors, and killing the members, closing them down. On 29 September 2014 was the day that they attacked my village. Around 10, I have a call that they have killed my dad. They asked him to deny Christ, in which he refused. They have cut his right hands. Then he refused. They have cut to the elbow again, in which he refused before they shot him thrice. At the head, forehead, the neck, and chest.
Many of the 1,500 Christians living in this camp have similar stories, like Hanatu, who had to flee on foot across the border into Cameroon, carrying her 3-year-old daughter on her back.
We escaped from Boko Haram. I walked for 2 months before I reached Nigeria.
Once she arrived, she realized the camp had no school for the children, so she decided to do something about it.
The thing has touched my mind that these children, they are living like that without going to school. We sit down, we discuss and say, how are we going to do with this life of these children? Are we going to leave them like this? This Boko Haram is because of illiteracy that they start killing everybody. So if we didn't teach these children, they will affect us directly or indirectly. Now, I thank God, the children now, we have seen a great change.
Hanatu and other volunteers go beyond reading and arithmetic, also teaching the children about their heritage, since many of these little ones have never seen their true homes.
We always cry, there is a song that our children always sing, oh my home, because there is no place like home.
It's been raining all night long, and you know, the polyethylene on the tops of these shacks here gets leaky very quickly.
One of the hardest things about living here is the leaky roofs during the rainy season, because water constantly drips onto our bed. We depend on people to feed us, so when they are unable to give us food, we go hungry.
The Nigerian military has mounted large offensives against Boko Haram in recent months, and even with heavy losses on both sides, there seems to be no end in sight. Despite the hardships, these displaced Christians are firm believers in the power of prayer.
My faith has helped my prayer life, and I believe the prayers of the other saints around the world have helped us to get through this hard time. My desire is for God to restore all those who have been displaced and allow us to go back to our homes so that we can worship God together and live in peace.
In Nigeria's capital city, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
After the break, a look into a recent box office hit from our Studio 5 team.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Summer is winding down, but the summer box office season continues to heat up. There are some family-friendly films you may have missed, like Dora and the Lost City of Gold. This movie brings the childhood cartoon to life and takes Dora from the jungle with her parents to her most dangerous adventure ever. That would be high school. Our Studio 5 has this look at the film.
We're gonna have a talk.
About the dangers of the big city.
See, you're gonna be invited to some parties. And some of these parties, they're called raves.
The people there are called ravers?
Yeah, and then they love glow sticks and candy necklaces and hacky sacks.
Dora's parents are on a new discovery, but they don't want her to come along because she's too naive and too young, and so they sent her to live with Diego.
Well, be careful. That's what we want to say.
Dora comes and obviously has no social
constructs at all, and is just like unapologetically herself, and she's like, hi, I'm Dora.
It's not 6-year-old Dora, it's 16-year-old Dora. So she's not only navigating the jungle, but the jungle of high school and being a teenager.
Dora, this isn't the jungle. It's high school. It's life or death. Keep a low profile.
Just be yourself.
Excuse me? I'm kind of stuck. Then all of a sudden, her parents get kidnapped. And then she gets kidnapped, and they end up back in the jungle. Hi, I'm Dora.
We see a really interesting arc. I think Dora helps every other character in the whole movie just really find themselves and realize what's really important.
What is that? That does not sound like a good noise.
I don't think this is a jungle puzzle. This is Fukyo.
There's a lot of throwbacks to the original animated series, like talking to the camera and the audience, you know, can you say delicioso? But there's so much new adventure happening that it's still new to those who aren't familiar with the series.
Oh, no, it's juice box. It's just juice box.
I think we're safe.
You know, you search your whole life for a place where you fit in and where you feel comfortable being yourself 100%. And this is definitely one of those movies where, you know, even on the press tour, everyone makes you feel so welcome and warm.
This is Hollywood.
Yes,
this is glamour. You understand the entire movie through the perspective and the lens of Hispanic culture, and that's never been seen before.
What is happening?
It's the curse! The curse is gonna perish us, we're gonna perish all over the place! Of this! Now follow me! The real treasure is friendship and relationships and family and love.
All of the elements from the original show that you love, plus more.
Plus much more,
It's expanding on what you envisioned in your childhood. It's like taking that, putting it on steroids and like making this big event that's also something that I'm really proud of when it comes to our culture.
And it really feels like a classic adventure movie. Like it just has that classic adventure movie vibe to it. It's crazy.
You know the jungle. It's a part of you. But exploring is not a game. And you don't look before you leap.
It's the first time that I've done a movie that the whole family can go and see. So grandma and grandpa's gonna love it, mom and dad are gonna love it, kids are gonna love it, and there's comedy for everybody.
There's no need to overreact.
Get it off! Get it off!
Be yourself, don't change for anybody. Who you are is enough. That's just a great message in general, and the fact that it's represented in this young Latina superhero who's fearless and brave and intelligent. I think young girls can go, wow, I want to be like her. Wow, you know, I want to take an adventure, and that's what we want to instill in, I think, young girls and boys today.
I have to keep going no matter what.
She's freaking awesome.
And that's it for this edition of News Watch. You can find more on the issues that you care about most at cbnnews.com. And you can also watch CBN News programs anytime on our CBN News channel. We would love to know what you think about the stories that you have seen here. So please email us at newswatch@cbn.com or reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope that you'll join us next time. Have a great day.